Hey everybody, just a quick announcement before I start the video. I recently released a 40-minute documentary about my recent trip to Alaska. It is not a fishing video, but it is interesting. We saw a lot of cool stuff up in Alaska. If you guys want to check that out, you can do so via the first link in the description. Well, look who showed up. Dude, why are you always in my studio? I pretty much live down here. By the way, dude, I've been thinking a lot about your fishing YouTube thing you do. I have bad news for you. Nobody's going to take you seriously. And why is that? All of the pro bass people or bass fishermen, they use expensive lures and stuff like that. Everybody knows if you want to be a good fisherman, you got to use expensive stuff. That's debatable. Out of the goodness of my heart, I decided to get you something. I went on Tackle Warehouse and I got you the most expensive crankbait that they sell. Here, review it. Thanks. I guess we're making a video about expensive lures today. When it comes to fishing lures, I fish with a wide variety of baits. Some are fairly expensive and others are really cheap. And when it comes to buying lures, there are two main places where I choose to purchase my baits: Walmart and Tackle Warehouse. I was on Tackle Warehouse the other day looking around for some interesting lures that I can make a video about, and the thought popped into my head: what's the most expensive crankbait that Tackle Warehouse carries? I did a little bit of research and I found one. One thing I want to clear up really quick before I jump into the video is that this is the most expensive crankbait on Tackle Warehouse. There are other baits on Tackle Warehouse like swim baits that go for a lot more money. But when it comes to crankbaits, this is the most expensive one that they carry. And what crankbait is that, you may ask? It is the Catchem Caro Big Joe. This bait right here will run you $34 on Tackle Warehouse. So what do we get for $34? Let's take a look. Upon first inspection of this bait, we can see a number of things. The first thing is that it is fairly large. Here it is compared to my hand. It's about 6 inches in length and it is fairly thick. It also has a single joint right in the center to help with the action and a small lip around the front. It has 2 large hooks right here, which I can attest are very, very sharp. So that is a good thing. Now, this bait is handmade, and that has a lot to do with why it is so expensive. I've made a number of lures on this channel, mostly trashy lures for the lure challenge, but even those take me a lot of time and effort, and I can only imagine making something this good looking takes a considerable amount of time. As you can see right here, the color scheme I got is in a bluegill color, and this is a really cool looking color. I can't wait to throw this around in the summertime for some big bass. The eyes also give this bait a lot of character. They look very aggressive. Another cool thing about this bait is that there are teeny pieces of metal embedded right in here where the joint is, so when this bait swims back and forth, you get a nice clacking action as those 2 pieces of metal collide. Very cool idea. First impression of this bait overall, guys, is that it is very, very well built. It has a very sturdy construction. It just feels solid, and that is an awesome thing. If you're paying a lot of money for a bait, you at least want it to be built well. Now, like I mentioned, this bait has a lot of heft to it, and the overall weight of this thing comes in at about 3 ounces, so it's definitely not something you're going to want to throw on an ultralight rod. While I was on Tackle Warehouse, I also picked up another expensive crankbait, the Depths Buzz Jet. Now, this bait will run you about $27 for one of these crankbaits. Let us pop it out of the package and take a look at it as well. So here it is out of the package, the Depths Buzz Jet, and I gotta say, it is a very unique looking bait. First of all, it's got a very interesting lip design where the lip comes out and then it actually comes straight down, which is interesting. Generally speaking, crankbait lips just come out on an angle, but this one actually comes out and then comes down. Very interesting design. It also has a little spinner thing on the back. Now, usually you see this kind of blade on the back of topwater baits, like prop baits and buzzing style baits, but this is on a crankbait, and that is an interesting thing indeed. Like the other bait, the hooks are extremely sharp and very sticky, so that is a plus. The color I got is real bluegill, and I gotta say, it is quite stunning. It is translucent, and it's got a really nice looking paint job. Now, when it comes to paying a premium price for crankbaits, one thing I expect is that they are able to hold up under a lot of abuse. Generally, crankbaits take a lot more of a beating than other baits, and the reason for this is I'm usually fishing around riprap banks, and these baits are constantly banging and bumping into rocks, which can help trigger strikes, but it can also chip up the paint. Another thing I found when I'm out fishing is that I'll make a cast, my bait will hit a rock bank, or I'll hit a dock, and that can also damage up the paint. So what I want to test with these baits is the durability of the paint. And to do that, I just have a pliers right here made of metal, and I'm going to strike this crankbait and see if the paint chips. Okay, now let's do the depths. Upon first inspection of the jet bait, I can see some slight scratches on the paint and some slight dents, but overall, no chipping. It looks really good. Upon close inspection of the Big Joe, I can see some dents and some slight stress on the plastic coating. Now, I gotta say, the dents in this are slightly deeper than on the Buzz Jet, but keep in mind, this is made of solid wood, and wood is more susceptible to dents than hardened plastic. Alright, so we've taken a look at these baits in detail. It is now time to take them out on the water and see what the action is like. When it comes to the Buzz Jet, when I got this bait in the water, I was immediately impressed with the action of it. This bait has an action unlike anything I've really seen before. It has a very stiff action from side to side, and this thing moves water. Let me tell you, it puts off a ton of vibration, and I'm actually quite interested to take this bait out on the water and fish with it when the weather warms up. Moving over to the Big Joe, again, I was super impressed with the action of this bait. It's got a very sharp action back and forth, and in my opinion, it kind of imitates a wounded bait fish. Not to mention, this bait moves a ton of water as well, and I have no doubt that I can catch some huge bass on this bait. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it a point to try and catch some big fish with this bait this year. So there you go, guys. That is the most expensive bait you can buy on Tackle Warehouse, and what are my opinions of it? Well, I gotta say, overall, I'm very impressed with the build quality. The hooks are sharp, the action is awesome, and for 30 bucks, I think you're getting a very high quality product. Now, am I gonna go out and buy 5 or 6 of these things? No. That would be very expensive, and I have no desire to do that. However, if you want to try to catch some bigger fish and you want a high quality handmade crankbait with awesome action, picking up one of these things may not be a bad idea. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to support the channel, check out my line of merch down in the description and my line of Signature Series swim baits. If you purchase some of these swim baits, I get a little bit of kickback, and it helps me to keep making videos. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay hooked. I'll see you later.